Yodnumchai Fairtex has been one of the standout talents in one championship lately, winning 6 straight in the last year and finishing all but 2 of those fights. While one's format promotes reckless brawling, he's managed to keep himself safe without sacrificing offensive output through clever use of hand fighting. He fights with both hands extended, palming an orthodox opponent's jab while his lead hand controls their rear. By constantly controlling the hands, Yodnumchai is able to maintain the initiative and open up offense for himself while limiting his opponents. His extended hands block the path of least resistance to his head, impeding jabs and straight punches. Since these are the quickest punches most useful to set up entries and initiate combinations, his hand control lets him set the initiative and provoke more committed reactions. The natural response from his opponent is to either swing wide around his outstretched hands or withdraw their hands to avoid it. Yodnumchai pairs his hand control with his own jab very well. If you retract your hands, he'll feed you a jab up the middle and use the distraction to take subtle angles inside the pocket where he can then sit down on his power shots. He'll also grab and pull it out to sneak subtle jabs inside the guard. This is where the 4-ounce gloves come in handy. With the center line impaired, Yodnumchai can focus all his defensive effort on anticipating the wide punches. The hand control acts as an early warning system, as he can feel your hand pulling away from his to arc in a hook or an overhand. His lead arm remains extended, chin tucked beneath shoulder to nullify the right hand. When a wide hook comes, he can dip underneath it, throw up a quick block, or pull his head out of range. Controlling the hands also gives you valuable information on distance, telling you how close you are and how much ground you need to give in order to make a strike fall short. Yodnumchai can reach out to meet the hands of a pursuing opponent and halt their entries, stopping them in their tracks for a moment as they're forced to adjust since the direct route to his chin is blocked. When you're walking him down, you'll meet his hands before you step into immediate punching range. And if you lash out and try to throw around them, he has time to read the attack, back up, and reset his positioning. Dominating the hand fight also has important offensive applications. Yodnumchai funnels your attack into predictable routes and ruthlessly punishes you for taking them. Once you rattle a few combinations off his shoulders, you naturally start wanting to open up more, to step in deeper and chase him back. It's this instinct that scores Yodnumchai most of his cleanest connections, as he stands his ground and meets the aggression with counter elbows. His hand control draws advancing wide swings, and then the hand folds over into the elbow as he closes inside the wide swing, or pulls his head back away from it. While straight punches can beat arcing elbows by sticking you on the end of them where the elbow falls short, the wide hooks that Yodnumchai draws out invite more direct elbows up the middle. Yodnumchai also uses his hand fighting on the front foot to tilt exchanges in his favor. Meeting the outstretched hands of a pursuing opponent at range allows him to seize the initiative and limit their options, but opening up in the pocket naturally leaves one more exposed. However, he mitigates that exposure by punctuating bursts of offense with neutralizing hand traps. He'll throw a couple punches, then return to the hands, tying them up to prevent his opponent from countering and taking their turn. He'll even go through cycles. Punch, check the hands to prevent counters, then back to his punches. It creates a sort of punch and clutch effect, where after each combination, he snuffs out the space for a return salvo. He seizes the initiative through tying up the hands as he steps in, getting his shots off first, then uses it to cover the lulls in his attack, where initiative might otherwise be up for grabs. Controlling both the opponent's hands is a classic tool for pressuring and closing distance as well. Straight blows are the main weapons you need to worry about when pressuring, as they directly attack the space you need to cover in order to advance. But hooks around the extended hands allow the space inside them to be collapsed, and extended arms both provide coverage around the sides, as well as an easy grip in the clinch as you collapse that distance. The hand coverage also distracts from what your lower body is doing, allowing you to march into kicks and knees while their attention is drawn upwards. As the lower body weapons come into play out of the marching footwork, it also opens up further offense back upstairs as their attention is directed downward. Grabbing the guard to physically push your man back is also an option, especially valuable if they're keeping their guard high and tight. Cover the extended hands to enter into range, fire off a couple strikes to draw their guard up, then grab the hands and shove, and now you've got your man on the ropes where your options multiply and his dwindle. One of the big advantages to pressuring behind double hand control is that it allows you to implement a swarming attack without some of the risks that usually entails. Swarming is all about overwhelming an opponent, overloading their reactions with too much information for them to process, instilling urgency and panic by linking together attacks with no discrete beginning and end point. That usually means opening yourself up in the pocket, where you're at risk of eating heavy counters. But by stuffing the hands, you can create that cascade of pressure without having to walk through fire yourself. When you're constantly advancing and tying up the hands, you can invade the opponent's comfortable distance while keeping his targets away from him. As you keep smothering the hands and chewing up space, he'll feel claustrophobic and lash out, but the extra distance gives you time to read it and pull just out of range. This compounds over time. As you crowd from far away and draw them into lashing out fruitlessly, they start to lose their shape and confidence, throwing themselves out of alignment as they get more desperate, backing up more rapidly, and allowing you to close in and land your weapons with impunity. Here Yodnumchai puts together everything we've discussed, first jamming the hands to draw a wide hook on his guard. He's back in the hands right away, and his opponent hesitates to step forward when he feels his jab stuffed, surrendering the initiative to Yodnumchai. He lands a kick, but Yodnumchai chases him back while controlling the hands to avoid counters, pulling out his lead hand to land a knockdown blow. Trapping hands is best suited for mid-range, so opponents who can keep the fight all the way outside can neutralize it. But Yodnumchai has a few effective tools to make sure he can score on the outside and close distance to his preferred range. Yodnumchai's main long-distance weapon is a quick rear straight that he modifies for concealment and distance-taking over power. He doesn't sit down on his rear straight and torque his hips into it, instead getting up on the ball of his rear foot and launching straight forward. In effect, he completes part of the straight's motion before throwing it, which shaves time off the delivery at the cost of power. By launching off the ball of his foot, he can quickly close a lot of distance without telegraphing it with the weight transfer typical of a rear punch. While it's not a full power blow, it still packs a punch, especially since its unusual length allows him to catch opponents while they're leaning back at a range that they're not expecting a clean hit from. He'll often set up his quick straight by jabbing into position to land it. As his jab fires straight out from his chest, he takes a short step outward with his lead leg. Then he sneaks his rear leg behind it and performs a short split step. Both feet briefly leave the mat as his stance widens, and his weight is brought down first on the rear leg. As his rear foot touches down, he's in an athletic stance with his rear foot poised to spring off and launch him forward into the right hand. What looked like a standard jab quickly becomes a steep move laterally that places his rear hand inside his opponent's lead shoulder in line with their chin. His sudden spring forward drives his right hand through quicker than the opponent can give ground. Once Yodnumchai has established the rear hand as a threat, the split step becomes an effective feint and setup tool. He'll suddenly widen his base and drop his level, which usually draws his man into extending their lead arm to block the expected right hand, but instead, he marches forward into southpaw and elbows through the middle of their guard, or knees the body underneath it. Yodnumchai Fairtex has managed to carve out a nice run for himself in one championship, but even more interestingly, he's built himself a style that allows him to lean into one's bonus-chasing Bloodsport designs while still keeping himself safe and ensuring the exchanges he's constantly creating are tilted in his favor. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please like, share, and subscribe. If you're interested in more Muay Thai breakdowns, follow me at mixingmartialarts.com. I publish free breakdowns several times a month, and a premium subscription gets you access to a growing library of in-depth long-form articles, as well as early access to video breakdowns like these for only $5 per month. Subscribers not only support my work, but they also gain exclusive insights into the strategies behind top fighter success, delivered straight into their inbox.